My name's Todd. I'm your host for the Laundry List. Welcome back. Hope you guys had a great week. We are getting ready for the World Series here in Arizona. We are super psyched. Diamondbacks, the Cinderella team against the Texas Rangers. I think I'm going to go to game 3 and 5. And yeah, it's exciting. I mean, this town's erupting. Everyone's a Diamondback fan all of a sudden. No one can name one player in the team, but they're like serious Diamondback fans. So that's kind of cool.
Or could name one player from 2001. I think that's the better litmus
I could
test.
go.
I think everyone can name that team. This team. Oh yeah, no one can name this team.
Can you name a player on this team, Charles?
That team,
on
everyone
this team,
did.
of course, and 2001.
What's the player on this team?
Well, you're a baseball guy.
I'm a baseball guy.
What's the player on this team?
Well, do you want me to go from
start at first base?
Just do the first 5 hitters.
Okay, so Christian Walker's at first base.
He's great.
Do you want me to continue? Because he's phenomenal.
He's the. I think
we're going to blow this
ever.
podcast.
And who's the best rookie in the league on our team?
Well, he's going to win Rookie of the Year. 56 stolen bases.
And who's that?
It's Carlos.
Carlos. Last name?
Cabrias.
Yeah, he's like 5'3".
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's got a
Speedy
heart.
Gonzalez.
And then the closer. But anyways,
okay, that's my favorite
This
player.
is not a podcast about baseball, by the way.
The Deloitte auditor.
He looks like an accountant.
The Deloitte auditor coming in to close the games. I love it.
That guy's on fire. But anyway, we're excited. The weather's turned. This is a great time to be in town. And let's get started. So can you guys read the laundry list and the promises?
So I don't have my glasses today, Todd. So Blake's going to.
Blake can do it.
I'm going to step in.
He's in his 20s.
I got young eyes. So this is the laundry list. 1, we became isolated and afraid of people and authority figures. 2, we became approval seekers and lost our identity in the process. 3, we are frightened by angry people and any personal criticism. 4, we either become alcoholics, marry them, or both. Or find another compulsive personality, such as a workaholic, to fulfill our sick abandonment needs. 5, we live life from the viewpoint of victims, and we are attracted by that weakness in our love and friendship relationships. 6, we have an overdeveloped sense of responsibility, and it is easier for us to be concerned with others rather than ourselves. This enables us not to look too closely at our own faults, etc. 7, we get guilt feelings when we stand up for ourselves instead of giving in to others. 8, we became addicted to excitement. 9, we confuse love and pity and tend to love people we can pity and rescue. 10, we have stuffed our feelings from our traumatic childhoods and have lost the ability to feel or express our feelings because it hurts so much. Denial. 11, we judge ourselves harshly and have a very low sense of self-esteem. 12, we are dependent personalities who are terrified of abandonment and will do anything to hold on to a relationship in order not to experience painful abandonment feelings which we receive from living with sick people who were never there emotionally for us. 13, alcoholism is a family disease, and we became para-alcoholic and took on that characteristics of that disease, even though we did not pick up the drink. 14, para-alcoholics are reactors rather than actors. So that's what we had. And as Charles likes to say, this is what we get. 1, we discover our real identities by loving and accepting ourselves. 2, our self-esteem will increase as we give ourselves approval on a daily basis. 3, fear of authority figures and the need to people please will leave us. 4, our ability to share intimacy will grow inside us. 5, as we face our abandonment issues, we will be attracted by strengths and become more tolerant of weaknesses. 6, we will enjoy feeling stable, peaceful, and financially secure. 7, we will learn how to play and have fun in our lives. 8, we will choose to love people who can love and be responsible for themselves. 9, healthy boundaries and limits will become easier for us to set. 10, fears of failure and success will leave us as we intuitively make healthier choices. 11, with the help from our ACA support group, we will slowly release our dysfunctional behaviors. 12, gradually with our higher powers' help, we will learn to expect the best and get it.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Blake. That's just reading that. Last night in our ACA home group, which is unbelievable. Sorry you missed it, Charles.
I am as well.
We read page 199 and 200, which talks about the grief and the shame and criticism that we got from parents, teachers, friends, siblings, and how we don't realize the effect that has on us when we're 5, 6, 7. And kids are resilient. They can just blow it off like, oh, you're fat, you're ugly, you're not smart. And kids are resilient. They act like they don't care. But the page 199 and 200 talks about the long-lasting effects that has on kids.
For sure.
And we talked about that and how when we do the work in the program, how a lot of that stuff comes back and we see where we became the laundry list because we were scared to because we never got that love, nurturing playfulness as a kid because we were so busy hiding our real feelings. Like at 6, you're not going to say, well, that really hurt my feelings. You called me fat. Now the girl has an eating disorder or something they're not going to be able to express themselves. Right. So now we're able to actually go through that and embrace that hurt little kid and talk about it. There's 2 stories that came up over the last 2 days that I'd love to talk about and get you guys' get your feedback. One is a guy I went to lunch with today. Do you know School Bus Pete from No Snivs? Pete? Yes. He drove a school bus.
Yes,
Pete.
yes, I do.
Yeah, he's 82. He just lost his partner. She just died. And he is an incredible amount of pain and resentment and anger towards the assisted living facility because he thinks they killed her. And I went to lunch with him and heard his story and what's going on with him. And he actually gave me this book called Forgiveness. I'm like, well, why don't you read it? He goes, oh, I'm not going to read it. He goes, I know what it says. He doesn't want to let go of the anger. He's holding on to it. He's comfortable with it. It's his friend.
Yep.
It's become his new partner. It's his new friend. And, I just had a lot of empathy and compassion for him. I know what that feels like to just stay angry and resentful at someone. And now when I get that anger and resentment for somebody else, I get a gut kick and okay, I need to start praying, like it says in the AA program, for that person. I need to start sending them positive vibes. I need to journal. I need to do something nice for someone else. I need to go sponsor someone. We have all these tools, but to watch somebody who's been sober for 35 years, just stay in that anger and resentment, you can just see how the pain just grows and the pain is just exasperated in his life. And he lives alone. He's 82, no job, and just sits around. And I think he just stews on this. So love to get you guys and your feedback on sort of, have you experienced this and what do you do to get out of it and just make yourself feel better?
Yeah, I think I know for a period of time that anger was my best friend. It motivated me good, bad, and indifferent. And I think it's easier to stuff all the other emotions down and just, come to the point where, I'm just angry and to sit in it and stew in it. And, and then it also helps because I don't know if you guys are like me that, playing the victim, it's very easy to play the victim and, figure out why all these other people that have wronged me and I was wronged and I'm angry when really a lot of the times it was me. And, I think when you're in an immense amount of pain, I think it's easier to turn to anger than, I think it's one of the steps in grieving, but if you're, not grieving and you just stay in the anger, it can just prolong that process. And
do you get gut kicks when you're angry and resentful at other people these days? Or do you notice it or do you let it go for a while? Do you let it run for a while before you notice it?
I definitely don't. I definitely notice it right away now. But I think I used to get those gut kicks and I used to kind of let it fester and I would almost the anger would come and I'd almost make it worse because that was the only emotion that I was used to feeling and I would let it boil up and I would spin myself
up. When
up.
You're in the anger and resentment and you're in that, that state of being, what types of behaviors show up in your life? I know for me, it's gossip, talking shit about them, wishing bad things happen to them, trying to hurt them, literally, trying to hurt them any way I can.
Yeah. For me, it's definitely aggression and aggression in it can be just pure aggression, yelling or it's the passive aggressive, I'm going to show you, I'm going to get you, you just wait. I might get my revenge next month, next year, but it's coming.
Yeah.
When you least expect it. And it only ends up hurting yourself.
And that's what I was telling Pete today. Like all you're doing is hurting yourself. It's like we want to be happy. We want to be free. And there's no way to have freedom when you're in that anger.
Yeah.
Like when you're in that anger and you're like, God, I wish this guy would die, or, get hit by a car, or like lose all his money, or I wish his wife would leave him, or I'm going to tell everyone he's cheating on his wife, or whatever it is. It's like, I'm not hurting anybody else. I'm hurting myself.
Definitely hurting yourself.
And I'm hurting myself in the way that I can't experience the present moment and have joy, laughter, playfulness, some of the promises you read, being in the moment, because I'm so busy in my head planning someone's revenge and planning someone's, plot to failure. And it took me a while to realize that. Like I used to tell the story. I used to go work out at the Village, and I'd be on the treadmill. This is even before I got sober, and I would watch guys play basketball, and because the workout area would overlook the basketball court, and I would literally like look at that guy. I'm like, oh, that guy, that guy's a loser. He cheats on his wife. He's got lucky in business. And I would just judge people. Yeah. And I would like spend my hour of working out just judging people.
He's only in the position he is because of his dad, right? Like, I
would just judge people and now when I look back upon it, it's because I was so insecure and had so low self-esteem and just no confidence that the only way to feel a little bit better was to bring other people down, at least in my mind.
For sure.
And I did it in person too. But I would be like, okay, if I bring that guy down, I feel a little bit better about myself. I'm not a complete loser, and didn't realize it's an inside job. Like I got to make myself feel better. And we hear all the time about self-love. And last night we talked about self-love, and it's a great theory, and it's a great, like almost like spiritual axiom. Like, but what is self-love and how do you get there? How do you really get to self-love? And for me, it's you do loving, selfish things. Like I got to take care of myself. It's like it says in our ACA literature. It's like, I can't be so consumed with you and my kids and wife and friends. I have to do things that make me happy.
Yeah.
And I have to do things that like are loving towards myself. And one of them is not sit there and hate on other people and judge other people.
And I think when I think about self-love, I think about, you guys obviously know my dog Ralph, right? And that's what I envision, like a way that when I walk into a room and he, no matter what was going on or no matter what, like he's just very excited to see me and he's very just loving. And like, if I can get to that place with myself and react, to myself the way that my dog does, like, I think that's what self-love is, and getting to that place.
Yeah. How about you, Charles? What are like some of the ideas you have for self-love? I mean,
well, first I want to hit on Pete, right? So Pete is experiencing loss, right? And there's a bunch of emotions that we go through, every human, right? Whatever type of loss it is, he's the loss of his wife, and he's going to experience all of those emotions up until acceptance, right? And we can't be angry unless we have someone to blame. And we can't blame anyone if we're in acceptance.
Well, can't you blame yourself and be angry at yourself?
Of course.
Yeah.
And that occurs, right? I'm sure that
very common.
That's somewhere I've sat for a very long time. And that's like almost the worst.
So I fucked it up. I did something.
Yep. That's a common one.
Shit.
Or in Pete's case,
the assisted living facility.
The assisted living. They killed my wife.
Yeah. I'm going to sue them or shut them down.
Yeah. I should have known better than to,
My sister and my aunt died in a car accident when I was 18. And my grandfather spent the remainder of his life angry and looking for someone to blame, whether that was Arcadia Water Company, whether that was
Dexter.
Yeah, Dexter, because he tainted my sister and turned her into a fast car driving drug addict.
Yeah, party girl.
Right.
Yeah.
He spent the rest of his life not in acceptance, but in anger with the next new person to blame. And when one of the persons to blame or entities to blame failed, he moved on to another one. That's how he spent the remainder of his life. It was very sad because he never made that transition to existence. And there's loss of loved ones, which you and I have experienced, right? There's loss of money. There's loss of girlfriends. There's loss of many different types. There's losses of dogs. And there's a grieving process in that. And the quicker that we can get to acceptance, the quicker that I was able to get to acceptance, then there was no one else left to blame.
And one of the ways to get to acceptance is you just got to stop blaming people.
That's right. Well, one of them is what's on that book that Pete handed you,
right?
Oddly, which is forgiveness. right? So, until he can, let's just, for that example, my experience is I can only be angry at something if there is someone to blame. Sometimes that's me. Sometimes that's an employee. Sometimes that's a ex-girlfriend, ex-wife, or ex-anything. And then I get angry. But the quicker that I can get into acceptance, which is the end game, it is how it is for a reason. If it was meant to be different, it would be. Then I can find peace. And then when I can find peace, then I can find self-love or live in the honor of the ones that I've lost.
Yeah.
Right. And that comes with acceptance. So what is the ultimate solution to all different types of losses? Acceptance.
Yeah.
Acceptance. And the quickest pathway there is to get out of the anger, get out of the blaming.
Well, and if you can't, at least start doing something nice for someone else.
Yep.
Like go to a 12-step meeting and make coffee, go pick up people, go donate time at the soup kitchen, go to the homeless shelter and go donate time and clothes there. Like just get out and start doing things instead of staying in your apartment or your house and just stewing over how you've been wronged and you're the victim.
100%.
Because when you're the victim and you've been wronged, there is no joy in being in the moment in life. I don't care how good you are at being resentful and judging others. You are not going to find peace and being in that
Impossible.
moment.
It's impossible for sure.
So
and then now
it's like, just fake it till you can make it. Like,
True.
Okay, you don't feel like doing it? Great. Do it anyway. Go do these things, and just see how it changes. Because I know for me, like when I got sober and my wife made me come in, I was so angry and so uncomfortable. And people would tell me, go make coffee at this meeting, go pick up this guy, go read the big book with this guy. I'd be like, they don't get it. My first sponsor said, go read a book with your grandma who was at an assisted living facility here. I'm like, I don't want to do that. I want to talk to you about how my partner screwed me in business and how he's totally screwing me, and I want revenge and I want justice.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, that's great about that. And that sounds pretty difficult, but why don't you go meet with your grandma and feed her some dinner or lunch and go read to her. Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, this guy doesn't know the fuck he's talking about, but I'll try it. And it's amazing how that works. Yeah. It's just, it's just consistency. And then in our other program, the AA program, it talks about praying for other people. And I talked to Pete about that. I'm like, have you prayed for these people? He's like, yeah, I know. Yeah. But like praying for other people. And it's first, like you're praying for that son of a bitch.
Yeah.
And then after a week, you're praying for a beautiful child of God who is in pain just like you.
And isn't it crazy when you do that? It's like your mind almost has this like cosmic flip.
Yep.
Where it's like you were, this person did me so wrong and, did all these things. And then you get to a place where you're praying for them. And, for me, it usually starts out with like, I really don't mean a word I'm saying about, me praying for them at all. And I'm just going through the motions. And then eventually like it picks up momentum and it picks up steam. And then like, I really truly believe that. And it's like I can feel the love.
Yep. So the second story is interesting, but I'm not going to use names because it's a sensitive subject. But one of my best friends is going through a situation where his father passed away and he was left out of the will. And he's extremely angry and extremely upset. And my advice to him was if he prayed for the woman, the stepmom. And he's like, no, and he's having a hard time really grasping that concept. But for me, it's like I got my go-tos. Like I don't have any other tools.
Yeah.
It's like, have you prayed for her? Like how can I pray for her? I can't stand her.
Yeah.
Like, well, I'm just telling you, if you want relief, just do these things. Like if you want to get rid of the cancer, you probably have to go to an oncologist. If you want to get rid of the pain that's keeping you up at 3 a.m. and you're sweating full of anger and resentment, you might want to pray for her. You might want to go out to the homeless shelter or the soup kitchen and help people. I mean, I only know what I know. Like I'm sure there's a lot of other ways. You can go to meditate on a mountaintop for 6 months and probably feel a lot better. But, I just know it's worked for me.
No, I tried that. I tried the running from your problems. And then eventually those problems catch up to you and the pain catches up to you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I did for a majority of the summer. I was just like, go, 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 because I was running from the pain and running from the feelings. But then eventually you get to that place where you have to make a decision. Am I either going to pray for this person and not mean it and hope it gets better? Or am I going to just stay angry and miserable and in pain?
Yeah. And it's like things not going my way. I mean, I don't want my son to die. I don't want a business that I'm in to fail. But it's like the sooner you get to acceptance, the sooner you can say, okay, this happened in my life. I may not like it, but I accept it, and I'm going to embrace it, and I'm going to move on and try to be the person I want to be. Mm-hmm. And I always say, like, you got to write your eulogy every day.
Yeah.
Like, I got to write my eulogy every day. If I'm going to die tomorrow, today, who do I want Todd to be? Mm-hmm. And Morris and I did that all the time. And it's like, the more I write my eulogy, the less I'm going to be that victim, because I don't want my last day on earth to be a victim.
Yeah.
I want to be like helping people, and I want to be laughing,
a positive force,
like playing with my dog and running in the sun and calling my friends and laughing and, dancing to music, whatever it is. Like, I want to be that person I want to be. And if I can write that eulogy every day, I will, like, all of a sudden get out of that being that victim. But it's like so comforting to be that victim. It's like, wait a minute. I was taught at an early age to judge people, to be mad at people, to, screw that. I remember getting beat up in 4th grade, and my mom like ran me back to school and wanted this kid expelled. And like, how can you let this happen? And like, I was taught you blame other people when you get hurt, period. Mm-hmm. Talk about other people that are excelling, because that makes you feel better. Like, this is the playbook I got. And I'm sure a lot of people got. It's like, this is what you do. Mm-hmm. You talk shit about other people, you judge them, and, you cheat on your wife, you drink a lot of alcohol and do drugs because that makes you feel better. And it's like, wait a minute, the playbook I learned for a long, long time may not be the right playbook. Yeah. Like, and that's why the 12-step programs are so great, because you're learning a new playbook.
Yeah. I think the progression for me was I had that messed up playbook, and it gave me a lot of bad ideals. And then I couldn't deal with life on life's terms. So I turned to drugs and alcohol. And then I got sober, and I couldn't, that gave me some relief. And then, I came into this other program because that's really where the real magic for me has been. And I think the biggest takeaway I've gotten in the last year from ACA is my strengths and my weaknesses both don't necessarily have to define who Blake is. The good things don't define who I am, and the bad things don't define who I am. And I can be myself.
Yeah. So we hear a lot about, and it's actually in this book. It's funny. Ron Hamm gave me this book like 4 years ago when we were going through a divorce. He gave me this book, and then Pete gave it to me today. And so I already had the book, but it is about forgiving, but it's also forgiveness to yourself. And like, I
think that's the most important
one. You can see this tattoo here that Grayson gave me.
Yeah.
And it's forgiveness, love, and kindness. And it's like the message he keeps telling me in my dreams and my meditations. Literally, I'll be like driving, and he'll be like, Dad, this. And I'll be like, oh, okay. And like, so I got it tattooed here so I don't forget it. But it's like, at first I thought he was telling me forgiveness, love, and kindness towards the world and towards others, but it's towards myself. Mm-hmm. When I love myself and I don't judge myself, our therapist, Richard, had me write down the definition of a mistake, because a mistake is like no big deal. Like, you make a mistake, you look at it, you understand it, you correct it, you have awareness. It's not self-flagellation and like beating yourself up to a pulp.
Yeah.
And when I would make a mistake, I'd be like, God. I'm going to just crush myself. Mm-hmm. And again, we know where that comes from.
And then I'm going to live in that mistake.
Yeah. Live in that morass of shame and criticism.
I can't believe it. I should have done this. I should have been better. I can't believe I let this happen.
I mean, I did that with my divorce. I should have been a more present, husband. I should have, whatever. I should have drank with her. Maybe then she would have stayed with me. It's amazing what we can do.
Such one that hits me too.
To people please, and to like not feel the abandonment, and not feel like, oh my God, like the opposite of self-love, what's his self-hatred. Yeah. So like, I remember when you would have breakups, and the only choice you would have would be to drink. That's the only option.
Only one.
Because that's the only relief. Because we're feeling so bad about ourselves that we did something wrong, that they left us. They didn't like us. I'm faulty. I'm not good enough. I'm a bad person. I'm like, I'm just not enough.
It was a total reliance upon someone else to make me feel okay. That someone else is gone. I'm no longer okay.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And that is that painful abandonment feeling. So where does that come from? And that's what, right? Where does that come from?
Yeah.
Well, having done some of this work, I see exactly where that came from.
Well, that's what we read last night, page 199 and 200. And to go around the room, and there was a few newcomers there, and Mark Kerr was there, who's been a regular on our show. And, Mark talked about just having his mom and dad constantly as a kid tell him he wasn't good enough. His brothers and sisters were the stars of the show in the family. And he always felt like he had to prove himself. He goes, that's why he got into sports, because he's like, the only shot I have is to get recognized in this family. I think he had 7 or 8 brothers and sisters, and was to be a star in sports. He said he couldn't read till he was in 6th grade. So he's like, it wasn't going to be academics,
Yeah, wow.
And it was like, that was the motivating force, which I think sometimes having this childhood dysfunction could be a positive and motivate you to do great things. Or it could put you into the victimhood and just throw you deep into alcoholism, drug addiction, or other addictions, to where you just feel sorry for yourself. So it could have somewhat of a positive effect.
I read this study that came out that the CIA looks for kids that had childhood trauma, but not too much childhood trauma. Right. There's a happy medium.
They're still functioning
for those exact reasons, because they have a deep sense of, wanting to be high achievers, wanting to seek approval. The mission is everything.
Yeah. The hero child.
Yeah. The hero child.
I need to impress. I need to win. And that's why I loved competitive sports, especially a single person sport.
Me too.
Because I love to win. I love to win,
Yeah. And almost for me, I hated to lose. I think I hated to lose more than I liked to win.
Yeah. Well, they say addicted gamblers are way more addicted to the loss
for sure
than the win. And I get that. Like the loss gets that shame hit.
Yeah. Oh God.
It's like that shame hit. It's like a crack hit or meth hit. Like, okay.
It's like, I'm going to sit here on the slot machine and I'm going to keep hitting the button until, I get that. Oh, it's all gone. Can't believe I did that.
Yeah. And that's why, all our friends that were meth heads, I mean, we know a ton of them, meth heads and, crack heads, like they have such a hard time kicking it because they don't have that self-approval and self-love. And now they don't have the drugs. So it's like they got to start over. And I always say, I was naked when I got rid of drugs and alcohol, and you guys had to put me back together and love me. That's why sometimes I just go to an AA meeting just because I want to feel the energy and the love. I don't even want to hear what people have to say. Yeah. It's just seeing people.
Yeah, completely.
And it's just, for me, it's also it's a good reminder of how far we've come. For me, I remember not too long ago sitting in the rooms of Crossroads, living at Crossroads, scared, had no idea what the future holded. And I was just trying to not leave Crossroads because I made a promise to someone that I promised I wouldn't leave. And, you see those same guys and you're like, God, it's almost like what I'd give to do that over again in a way, because that's a very important and, very powerful part of my life.
Yeah. Yeah, and most of those guys aren't around today, but the ones who made it, I own the roofing company, Core Roofing, there's a plug. I was at their phone room today, and it's all guys in treatment and sober living.
All of them.
Mm-hmm. And they're just, the ones that are there are excited for life. They're yelling and screaming. The music's playing. They're they have energy, and then there's a whole bunch that are sitting in sober living and treatment feeling sorry for themselves too. So it's but the guys that just break out of that victim, poor me, they start living life and start feeling joy. And I remember I couldn't listen to FM radio or play my guitar for the first 45 to 60 days of my sobriety. Because I sat on my couch at my house, cried every weekend that I couldn't go drink with my buddies. They would call me and I couldn't drink. I couldn't go out with them, and I just felt sorry for myself. And then finally I started to get a little bit of joy because I made the coffee at North Scottsdale Fellowship, and a couple guys came up to me and goes, "Good job, Todd." Bruce Berkowitz, good old Bruce. Remember Bruce? He came up to me and goes, "Thanks for that share. That was a really good share." I'm like, "Oh, really?" And I started to get a little bit of self-esteem. And so I wasn't on that couch feeling sorry for myself that I couldn't go drinking with my buddies.
Yeah. And then I think it's something you say that I hold with me and I will always hold with me is that, you know, if I could do drugs and alcohol with no consequences, and I knew that there were going to be no consequences, I still wouldn't do it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
You know, I got that from you. And I think that that's so true, that, you know, the life and the friends and the intimate feelings that we all can share, it's not.
Yeah, I don't want to change the way I feel.
That's the juice.
That's exactly.
I don't want to change the way I feel now,
exactly
because guess what? I welcome the pain.
Yeah.
I welcome the sorrow. I welcome the grief. I welcome the sadness. I welcome the crying.
Yeah.
Before, I did anything in my power to keep that stuff away.
And change the way we feel.
I want to feel. I want to feel, because I know feeling is part of being human, and it's okay. And I love myself, regardless of if I'm crying, angry, screaming, hugging myself, whatever it is. I want to embrace it all. I want to live this life and feel my feelings.
Yeah, that's such a beautiful thing. I completely identify with that.
Yeah.
I used to need to change the way that I felt to escape whatever it was that was ailing me at that time.
For sure.
And today I do not want to change the way that I feel.
Yeah.
It was just in Germany, just in Mexico. The guys that I were with, they were drinking their beers, having a good time. Of course, constantly offered them. And I have no interest in changing that.
Yeah. It's like a true place of neutrality, right?
Yeah,
Like it doesn't even cross my mind.
That's a great place to be. And there's only one way that's possible. And that's to continue to have that reliance upon God.
And it's almost
Not me.
And it's
I will
almost-
create that on my own hard wiring. I will create that.
And it's almost
100%.
It's almost cool to be sober now.
It's kind of turning that way.
Like,
isn't
it's
it?
Not
turning
when
that
I
way.
got sober.
Yeah, no,
but
me neither.
But even
now I think it is cool. Yeah.
7 years ago when I got sober, I dreaded, like I would, you know, I wouldn't tell people I was sober. I'd be like, oh, I'm not drinking because I'm on some medicine or like whatever, you know, not being true to myself. And now it's like, oh, you know, why don't you drink? Well, I had a problem with drugs and alcohol, and I've been sober 7 years.
I used to go to the work dinners 30 minutes before anyone got there
And order your drink.
and tell them, I want you to bring me my drink in the same size glass
Right, I
as
did the
the
same
alcohol
thing.
glass.
God, you and I are so much alike. I did the
because
same thing.
Vodka-
the
Yeah.
alcohol glass is different.
And
than
I would
this.
give a lemon twist to it.
Yeah.
And if guys asked what I was drinking, I would say a vodka soda. And when the waitress came, they knew it was just soda water with a twist.
You did that too?
I did the same thing.
Today, to your point, it's much different. It's like socially cool.
Right.
You don't drink?
And also you guys are comfortable now in yourselves that
Yeah, well,
you
now
don't
I don't
even,
give a
you don't
shit.
even
Yeah.
need to do that.
Yeah,
I'll
right.
take a Diet Coke.
Well, I started realizing that by doing that, I may not carry the message effectively because there may be someone else there that wants to say, Charles, why is it that you don't drink?
Right.
And if I'm hiding that or disguising that, I'm going to miss the guy that may ask me that potentially has a problem. Right. And I've noticed that I don't drink. Why?
Yeah. This morning at the AA meeting, there's a guy with 3 weeks, this guy Tucker, and he was at a work event last night, and they were offering him beers, and he goes, no, thank you. No, thank you. And he goes, but I didn't tell him why, you know, and you could tell he was like very nervous about it, you know? So I think it's important to tell those stories that we all go through that shit. It's just, you know, part of the process, but the quicker you get honest and the quicker you let them know that you don't drink and you're sober, the more relief you're going to have. Because I went 2 years under that program and it was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, my partners at Raw, you know, Scott and Rich, it took me 18 months to tell them I was sober, and they kept ordering shots and beers and, you know, and I like wouldn't tell them. And I'm like so uncomfortable around them. And finally they're like, yeah, we heard you're sober. Are you sober? I'm like, yeah, I am. And they're like, oh, that's awesome. Like we always thought you should be sober. Like, and I'm like, it was such a relief, you know? And I'm meeting Scott tomorrow for breakfast. Actually, we're starting to do business again together. And, you know, it was such a blessing, like to look back and, I mean, they're like laughing at it. Like they didn't think twice about it. But in my mind, I'm like, this is like a life situation.
It's so funny how early on, or just in general, when we get in those those crazy thoughts, how much we think other people think about us.
Yeah, they don't go
right. And most
so
people
funny.
don't think about you at all. Like I remember being newly sober. You're like, he has. The thoughts you're thinking, he has never thought and will never think of. Mm-hmm. You're not that important.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. It's amazing. Cause like someone now, like I don't drink. I'm like, okay, you know, but back when I was drinking, if you weren't drinking in my crew, I crucified you.
Yeah.
Like I remember my bookkeeper, Kim, wasn't drinking one night on my birthday. We had a lemo. We were at the state fair. And I was in a limo.
Yeah.
And she said she didn't drink. And I'm like, literally made her cry.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm literally going to have you driven home right now if you don't start doing shots with me. And she started crying. And it was like, I was ruthless. Everybody had to be drunk around me. Yeah. Everybody had to be drunk. Yeah. If you were just sipping a beer or a wine, get the fuck out. Mm-hmm. You know,
it's to the moon and, blackout or back out. Like
when you're uncomfortable, when you're uncomfortable in your own skin,
force it upon others.
You want other people to anesthetize and numb themselves out like you.
Yep.
Yeah. Because then you want to make it normal. You're like, everyone drinks like this.
That's the twin to Misery Loves Company.
For sure.
I'm miserable and you're going to do everything that I'm doing. The same way.
I always questioned if I was an alcoholic. When I came in, I asked all these old timers, like, how do you really know? What's the definition? And they all said, a couple of them said the same thing. They're like, go out for 60 days and live your life. Just live your life. Go to the bars, go to social situations, go to work out, and just don't drink. And if you notice a personality change in you and other people do, you got a problem. And I'm like, okay. And I tried it for like a week and I'm like, right away, like a dick to people.
That wasn't going to work.
Yeah. But they say if you have no personality change, you probably don't have a problem. I had a massive personality change. I was irritable, discontent, restless, angry, passive aggressive.
You got the prescription.
Yeah. All right. Anything else, guys? I'm going to get you guys this book, Forgiveness, so you can forgive me for all the shit I did to you guys over the years.
Same.
I'm sure I've been mean to you over the years. Just because we're sober doesn't mean we're like nice guys either.
Yeah, we make mistakes.
But we can forgive ourselves now.
Completely. And
I've really gotten to a point where like if someone says something offhanded or I take it personal, my first gut thing is like, am I being maladjusted? And then it's also immediately goes into like that person is obviously really struggling or really going through something. I hope they're okay.
So that's something that didn't occur while I was drinking, is the awareness of others, the awareness of their feelings, and more importantly, even noticing that I have made a mistake.
Yeah, like
to your point, we still make mistakes. We still screw up. I still do dumb shit. But today I get uncomfortable with it.
Yeah, now it's
I go fix it.
Now it's like if you make an offhanded comment to me, I'm like, oh, Charles is having a bad day.
Yeah. We're more cognizant about this.
And again, we have the tools. We can pray for the other person. We can. I mean, the reality is we're all the same. So no one's trying to screw me over. It's my interpretation of the reality of the situation. That's all it is. So when I'm a dick to someone else and then someone else is a dick to me, it's just my interpretation of what's really going on. And if you have that attitude that you're just having a bad day, maybe their cat died.
Acceptance. It's
maybe their dog
acceptance.
died. Maybe they got in a car accident. Or maybe they got laid off. Have some compassion. Where's your compassion and love? Yeah. And when you really love yourself, you actually start to have that for other people.
Yes,
you really
correct.
do.
And your whole viewpoint on the whole entire world has a cosmic shift.
It's a complete total change.
And it's an energy.
Change.
Like, are you ever around people where their energy is so hyper, like they're on meth?
Oh, I can't.
You're just like, dude, what is up, man? Just chill.
Or the opposite, when people are really sad, I can't
So for me, a lot of times, like, I'll just like not talk. I'll just like listen. And sometimes they'll notice I'm just like talking, like jacked up cocaine. And it's like, then they just finally just decompress and come down. It's like, because I was the guy that was always talking and nervous and like I was on coke 24/7, and I wasn't on coke, but it was like I was nervous.
Yeah,
I was nervous, and when I'm nervous, I spew shit out of my mouth that like makes no sense. The best form of communication, I think, is listening and being calm. That's why I love when they start meetings with a 5-minute meditation.
Those are cool.
Glorious Bastard and some of these meetings, like, takes the energy completely to a different level. Everyone's coming in like all jacked up and coffee and like you just do that 5-10 minute meditation. You're just like,
yeah.
And that's the real powers in the silence.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a good friend, Marty, and when he would just go off and just talk like crazy, I would say, Marty, have you ever gone like a whole day without talking? Wouldn't that be cool? And he would look at me like, are you making fun of me?
Yeah. Well, we love you, Marty.
We love you, Marty.
But I would do the same thing. I mean, the reason I recognize it is because I did that. And, you know, our friend Morris goes on these 2-3 week silent meditations now.
It's unbelievable.
And I'm like, that scares me, but I would love to do it.
Did he finish his bike ride?
Yeah. He finished his bike ride. Too. Now he's like in a canoe somewhere in South America. Yeah.
God bless.
He's unbelievable.
Well,
anyways,
please give us feedback, rate us, let us know if you want to come on, get your podcast. We're downloading all of our videos on YouTube. We're going to have shorts on YouTube. So Spotify, YouTube, Google, Apple, TikTok. Check us out. If you want a Red Book, let us know. We will be enjoying the Super Bowl of baseball this year, the World Series.
World Series.
And are you going to the World Series, Charles?
I am going.
What game?
I'm trying to work something out for our group to go. I want to take some of the employees, and but definitely will be there. I don't know which games though. It's probably just going to be for one or two.
The cheapest game by far will be the second game.
Game 4, Halloween.
Yeah, because that's
right. It's on Tuesday night.
Anyone with kids is not going to be.
I'm gonna go to game 3.
Okay. So we'll figure all that out. But yes, definitely. How can you pass it up while you're here?
I agree. I was at the last one. I sat right behind Rudy Giuliani.
2001.
Yeah.
It's just like Todd when the NBA Finals were like, we have to go.
You have to go. I may not be here for another 20 years. Yeah. You know?
So has anyone taken us up on the big books? Please, if you're listening.
We have. We shipped a few out.
Okay, sent a couple out.
Please spend Todd's money. I really want you shipping out. It's like, I hope that we get 4,000 requests for Red Books. I would just love that. That would bring me joy for some reason. Wouldn't that bring you joy?
It would bring me a lot of joy.
Yeah, it would. So please,
we'd have to kick in though.
He would make us, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he would.
Actually, I just thought of our Christmas presents for each other too that I'm going to get you guys. I'm going to get long sleeve, kick-ass laundry list t-shirts.
That'd be cool.
That'd be really cool baseball tees, laundry list baseball tees.
And if they ask a question, we mail them a shirt.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
So I'm going to get that for you guys for Christmas.
That'd be cool.
What do you think of this new studio?
I love this new studio.
It's more comfortable.
I mean, I feel like
I feel like I'm actually on a podcast.
Yeah, like a real podcast.
We need to get another.
We need another mic
stand.
stand.
I feel like Eddie Murphy right now.
Yeah.
You're like, are you drunk over there with the
well, I don't know what to do with this thing.
Yeah. Anyways,
like Will Ferrell in Talladega Nights. What do I do with my hands?
What do I do with my hands?
Yeah.
Well, I love you guys. Have a great week. Please be nice to my friend. Please be nice to my friend. As my sponsor, Harry, would always say, just love yourself. Be nice to my friend. And we will see you next week on the laundry list.